From KCRG TV9, your 24-hour news source. Welcome to this Show You Care special, 9 Who Care.
Thank you for joining us for this KCRG TV9 Show You Care special. Today we're honoring our annual 9 Who Care Jefferson Award winners. Eastern Iowans nominated dozens of outstanding volunteers, and a panel of independent judges selected the winners. Each one received a $500 check for their favorite charity. Later in the show, we'll announce which of them also won the grand prize trip to Washington, D.C. to represent Eastern Iowa in a national competition. Some of our 9 Who Care came in pairs, so really there are 11 winners. KCRG TV9's Jimmy Brinton introduces us to an Iowa City couple who literally gives others the shirts off their backs.
Underneath Webster's dictionary definition of the word care, Jim and Jane Knopick should be listed as an example of those who care for others. Whether it's selling suckers or clipping coupons, they do whatever it takes to help those in need.
It's just a way to help people. We don't have a lot of money, but I can get a lot of things that way. So I can get my shopping fix, but then help somebody else out at the same time.
Jane stores hundreds of bargain goods in her home for the day that someone she knows, or even a complete stranger, will need them. She remembers the day a store clerk shared how Jane's small acts of service had made a big difference.
My shopping cart looks kind of funny because there's 20 toothpaste or whatever. And I said I was, at this time it had baby items in it, and I said I was going to give it to the Nest. And she said she had benefited herself from the Nest. And when she got on her feet, she was going to be sure that she gave back to that organization. It makes you feel good.
While Jane's passion is coupon clipping, Jim's is suckers.
I see a lot of little kids that don't have anything, and I know they're hungry. I know they're hungry. I'll take those sucker, out of those sucker boxes and give it to them. I mean, the expression on their faces is beyond description.
Imagine the face of one man when Jim literally gave him the shirt off his back.
He's, oh, I'm a Bronco fan. He's, boy, I really like to buy your shirt. He's, how much you want for it? And he says, I says, you know, I'll give you $25 for it. It's okay. He said, well, I don't get paid until the first of the month and everything. You know what? I took it off and gave it to him. I said, here, you can have this. He says, you made my Christmas.
The Knopicks have made a lot of days special for a lot of people.
Since I was a kid, my mom was room mother, my mother was Brownie troop leader. My dad, for my second grade show and tell, brought his truck in to school, his cab of his truck, so everybody got to get up in the truck and look at it. So yeah, they've been like this since ever I can remember.
All Jim and Jane ask is that people pay the kindness forward.
If everybody would do just a little bit, you know, it would make a big difference.
Jim learned the importance of caring for others when he was an orphan, and others cared for him.
I was, like I said, I was in a home, and people helped me. And every time I do for somebody, I remember what I went through. It brings it back, and it makes me want to go on even more. I'll never stop helping. I'll never stop helping.
Our next 9 Who Care Award winner is also a team, and as a team, they've made a difference with hundreds of students. KCRG TV9's Justin Foss introduces us to Orville and Loanna Blady.
Go here. Kaylee, you go to the boxes.
This 9 Who Care Award winner is actually a team, and to find their impact, we went to watch the Mount Mercy College women's volleyball team get in shape.
And go.
Kaylee Warnick says she wouldn't be on this team and at nursing school without that team back home.
I would be worried more about finances and having to get another job, and there's no way I could have a job with volleyball and some of the other stuff I've been involved with, so yeah.
Warnick is here because this man is here. Orville and Loanna Blady's photos are posted all over the HLV school district. And to show just how important their own education was, they've given 3 $1,000 scholarships each of the last 20 years. Warnick got one.
Look what it did for me. You know, it was a wonderful thing, getting the education I did. So I think that's good. And scholarships, there's no question about it, that makes a difference.
Still, this couple needed more charity to fill their hearts. And the next mission started with a flyer from the University of Iowa Arts Department.
We were eating lunch, and I opened it up, and I said, gee, you know, we'd seen Les Miserables in London. It was a great play. And I said, you know, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could, my wife and myself, could go ahead and take the whole high school to Hampshire.
So for the last 9 years, the Bladys have invited the entire HLV school to come see a show here at the Hampshire Auditorium at the University of Iowa campus. And even when the Hampshire flooded last summer, the Bladys had the show come to them and performed at the HLV high school gym.
Those kids have seen something that I dreamed that I could do and I could have. And now they've had a chance to see it in a time of life that was good for them.
Orville didn't have much money growing up, but after law school, he became a tax attorney, and at age 89, he still puts in 8-hour days every day. Orville says everything they've done was in a team, especially the shows. But the team isn't quite what it used to be since Luana started fighting lung cancer 2 years ago.
I think she would say that it's one of the best things we ever did.
It makes me feel good that someone's there who wants to invest in me. And
What a wonderful investment. I think of it from the point of view of an investment. It's an investment that you don't have to pay income tax on. You know, it's great.
In Victor, Justin Foss, KCRG TV9 News.
Our third winning couple is from Cedar Rapids. KCRG TV9's Claire Kellett tells us about the goods.
Kathy and Dave Good never hide their hobbies. Paintings at their home illustrate their pastimes.
One of the big things that we've always done together is tandem bicycling.
This Cedar Rapids couple has biked together across Iowa and even overseas, but lately life has led them down a different path.
It's such a life-changing kind of diagnosis, and it robs great people of so many things.
In June of 2003, Dave was diagnosed with visual variant type Alzheimer's disease. First, he had difficulty seeing, and then he couldn't seem to find the right words to carry a conversation. Not many people get this form of the disease.
When Mayo confirmed that diagnosis, they said that they had diagnosed 68 cases of visual variant since 1988. So that tells you something about what a rare condition is.
It's also rare. Dave was only 56 years old at the time. He had to step away from his job as an attorney and district court judge. But Kathy keeps him busy, encouraging his interests and lining up friends for Dave to spend time with.
We really just continued that philosophy that says, okay, this is an awful crummy thing that you have to deal with, but we can do this. And we'll do this as a team, Team Good.
Team Good has a great relationship with the Alzheimer's Association of East Central Iowa. Both serve on the board, but Kathy is more vocal.
Kathy understands how to use her voice because not many people who are in the situation that they're in are willing to do that or have the time to do that.
Kathy has lobbied on Capitol Hill, and last year Team Good raised more than $21,000 for the association's Memory Walk.
I'm not a fundraiser kind of person, but when you're passionate about something, it's much easier.
Kathy expresses her passion for her husband in her hard work and her artwork.
It's a little box that I constructed in one of the first art classes that I took, and it's called Once in a Blue Moon. And it's about Dave Good because, well, it's kind of getting me, because only once in a blue moon does somebody like Dave Good come along.
This once in a blue moon is the reason Kathy is so committed to finding a cure for Alzheimer's. In Cedar Rapids, Claire Kellett, KCRG TV9 News.
And we'll be back with more 9 Who Care Jefferson Award winners after this short break. Stay with KCRG TV9.
The Show You Care special is brought to you by Collins Community Credit Union, Cedar Rapids Toyota Scion, Carlos O'Kelly's, and Mercy Medical Center.
Welcome back to this Show You Care special. Instead of retiring to somewhere warm, Jack Rector uses his decades of knowledge as an engineer to warm up the minds of young students. KCRG TV9's Chris Earle has more.
In the late hours of winter, when the sun goes down early, Jack Rector's energy goes back up.
A lot of guys, you know, when they retire, say, well, get my motor home and I want to go south.
Jack isn't heading south, but he spends plenty of afternoons heading to the Four Oaks Bridge in Cedar Rapids to cultivate young minds and get them on the correct road, a road filled with numbers and equations. Like the mind of Pio Nung, a 5th grader in Cedar Rapids. His passion after school is crunching numbers for this result. Jack is a retired engineer from Rockwell Collins. He's learned plenty in his life. A successful career and 65 years of marriage to his wife Alice will do that. Yet he's still taken aback by the power of helping out young people.
It's amazing to me how kids can be cutting up and punching each other and doing all that kind of stuff. And then suddenly you can get them focused on a particular problem. And you're just amazed at what they can learn.
Problems and solving them are Jack's trade. He's helped with kindergarten science classes for 10 years now at Four Oaks Bridge. Jack has tackled history, geography, rocketry, even PowerPoint. Now it's this Lego League, an international competition in which children learn robotic programming.
Person who has been a successful professional throughout his life comes to spend time with them, to teach them about math and science and technology, but also about life.
We may see a future career from this inspiration for Pio.
There you go. I go into engineering and stuff, but I really do enjoy this. That's one thing I do like.
There's a quiet dignity with Jack Rector. He wouldn't even consider himself a teacher.
And I don't teach them. I really just kind of mentor them.
Kind of. In the discipline of engineering, math, and rocketry, there is no kind of. It either happens or it doesn't. And Jack Rector proves that it can happen. And when it comes to mentoring young minds, and yes, even teaching them, it does happen.
Okay, got it.
Our next winner is perhaps the most recognizable face in Cedar County. For years, he's kept his promise to serve and protect. KCRG TV9's Josh Hinkle introduces us to Keith Whitlatch.
We're in the main cell block area. This is where most of the men were housed.
We had to go to jail to find this Nine Who Care nominee.
It's kind of a living room with bars.
Keith Whitlatch was the last Cedar County sheriff to call this place home.
This is one of the few mom and pop jails left in the state of Iowa. I think it was the last one operational.
Mom and pop, meaning for a time, he and his wife and their family lived in the adjoining house to take care of the prisoners. It was just part of Whitlatch's 23-year tenure as the county's longest-serving sheriff.
I kiddingly say, you know, either I was doing something right or I had it so screwed up nobody wanted to try to straighten it out.
But from protection, he went to preservation. When Whitlatch retired from his post in 1999, a new jail went up shortly after, and this place closed. Now he heads up the group responsible for maintaining the old Cedar County Jail's 116-year history.
That's a certificate of death of the only peace officer in Cedar County killed in the line of duty.
There's a whole bunch of us we just get all excited when it comes to looking after the history of the county.
His work in the county doesn't stop here. As a Lions Club member, he volunteers his time for projects like the wheelchair ramps you see around town. And it wouldn't be Christmas in Tipton without Whitlatch's team of trolley-pulling horses.
It was one way of giving back to the community that he has lived all his life.
Truly, a lifetime in law enforcement left this man longing to help others. He started out in the Marines as part of the military police, eventually returning to Tipton to become the police chief, then later sheriff.
I contend I had the best job in the world.
And that mom and pop term he mentioned before actually has a deeper meaning. He married his wife Lois just before becoming sheriff.
Without her by my side, you know, all these things I've done wouldn't have been that great.
Lois is now recuperating from a stroke she suffered last fall. And just as she helped him all these years, he's now there for her, learning to serve in a different way.
People realize that by me marrying an equality woman, they can see that, hey, maybe there's something to this old boy.
Along with all the sheriff's pictures on the wall at the old jail, you'll also find one of Whitlatch. He hopes the legacy he leaves behind is one of service, but one that's also not quite closed yet.
Maybe when I get old and decrepit, I'll, retire and live upstairs and just come down and talk about jail.
In Tipton, Josh Hinkle, KCRG, TV9 News.
Volunteerism is something that runs in the family for our next honoree. 13 years ago, Evelyn Wiebel of Loudon was one of our 9 Who Care winners. Now, as TV9's Bruce Annie reports, it's her grandson's turn.
The flood last June was devastating, destroying or damaging hundreds of buildings and affecting thousands of people's lives. But the flood also brought out the best in people, like the story TV9's Jonathan Gregg reported last August.
Nothing. Flood recovery has slowed down many lives in Cedar Rapids, but right now, Tyler Smothers is cruising along.
He's never gone at that fast of a pace anytime.
Tyler's family is trying to keep up.
There's a lot of people gonna be soon they are.
Tyler, who is 24 now, was born with a form of spina bifida, a spinal cord birth defect. He and his family have had a relationship with the Ark of East Central Iowa for more than 20 years. When the Ark went under, Tyler's spirit sank.
If you ask him about it, his reaction is it's horrible.
And I said, well, do you want to go downtown and look? No. I mean, it's like one time was enough.
Enough to convince Tyler he wanted to help. He and his family decided he would raise money by riding a lap around Cedar Lake with his adaptive bike. They're calling their efforts Tour de Flood. But one lap turned into 3, and a modest goal was surpassed. Once Tyler's story made it on the ARC's national newsletter, donations started coming in from across the country. Tyler says they've already raised more than $8,000.
I got 2 more thousands to go. I'm hoping I can make it.
Each pedal seems to bring in even more support from family, friends, and strangers.
We're gonna have to send all my friends a big thank you.
Yes, we will.
But Jonathan Gregg's report and Tyler's story don't end there, because now, months later, Tyler says the money has kept coming in.
It was 1,000, but and 5,000 and 10,000. Now, then by the end of it, it got to be 20,000.
He got donations from people we didn't even know who just, were touched by the cause. It was just unbelievable. It's hard to fathom.
And Tyler's still going strong. He does other volunteer work for the ARC, for the public library as well, and also Kennedy High School. And he's already planning Tour de Flood number 2.
We enjoy so much that we're gonna keep continuing to do that.
He's never been one that you could say, well, Tyler, I don't know if you can do that. You're in a wheelchair. And he's like, well, he's going to figure out how to do it.
Tyler Smothers, a true inspiration for all of us. Bruce Downey, KCRG TV9 News.
We'll be back with more winners after this. It takes a lot of patience to work with children, but some people don't have to work at it. KCRG TV9's Mark Erie introduces us to our next 9 Who Care Jefferson Award winner, Betsy Houston.
As Betsy Houston bounces around the room, children soak up everything they can from this community leader.
Betsy doesn't have to try to work with the kids. It's just, it seems like a natural thing. So whenever she comes into the room, she's able to sit down, she's able to interact with the kids, to make a difference. I think they respond to her.
Betsy helped mold the Southside Boys and Girls Club into a thriving organization. She captures children's attention and explains the importance of education with ease.
I think sometimes I get much more out of interacting and working with kids or doing programs with kids than they do.
They know she cares. It's like they sense it. They feel that Betsy is here because she cares about us.
This is the part of Betsy children rarely see. She spends hours filling out paperwork to get grants and other funding.
She finds a way to find the money to help these programs still exist.
Over the past 2 decades, Betsy has raised more than $1 million for local organizations.
I find when you're writing and researching and everything, it's just kind of the same rush as when you're putting together a dance or a piece of art.
If you tried to list all the activities Betsy is involved in, well, you'd have to fill up a TV screen with really small writing that would almost be impossible to read.
I was born with lots of energy, and if you don't put it into something productive, then you kind of know what happens.
This past summer, Betsy helped organize a back-to-school rally for children affected by the flood. It grew into an event that made thousands of children smile.
I've never been involved in such an amazing process because in about 3.5 weeks we went from pencils and a stack of notebooks to packing and distributing over 3,000 backpacks.
An artist recently painted a portrait of Betsy outside the Paul Engel Center to honor her involvement in the community. It's an unusual pose for her, though. She's standing still. In Cedar Rapids, Mark Geary, KCRG, TV9 News.
Hey, thanks, Andy Peterson, and don't forget they also
He's in the radio booth every Sunday morning for Variety Time with Leo Grieco. For 16 years, he was in local living rooms every Saturday night.
Leo Grieco and his Pioneers with Chuck Wooster.
Leo took the opportunity to speak to a wide audience by promoting local charities that help children.
First Variety Time was on at nighttime, and Tate said, would you mind if I came on the show and talked about the camp? Well, I had never heard of it before.
The camp is Camp Courageous in Monticello, a place for people living with disabilities to have fun. Leo used his microphone to share the camp story.
I like working for Camp Courageous and the Shriners Transportation Fund and a few things like that's what I do.
Take a walk down to Leo's basement and you see just how much he likes to help.
Take them out of those bags and put them into these buckets.
Leo and his listeners fill up 35 of these buckets a month. The aluminum soda pop tops fund transportation, lodging, and meal costs for children getting medical treatment after an amputation or loss of a limb.
I really do the things because I really enjoyed what I'm doing. I never thought I'd live to be 87 years old.
At 87, he's raised a family, continues to serve his listeners, and works tirelessly year-round to give opportunities to children living with disabilities.
Ralph Harrison on 600 WMT.
Truly a local legend. We'll be back with our final 9 Who Care Jefferson Award winner after this. A cancer diagnosis is one of the scariest things many people can imagine. Beth Hamill knows what it's like because she's a cancer survivor herself. But as TV9's Dave Fransman reports, our final 9 Who Care Award winner not only beat her cancer, but she used the experience to help others.
And they are given this basket as they sit down for their treatment, and they're told that they are to choose one.
Modern medicine may rely on drugs, surgery, and radiation to combat cancer, but Beth Hamill and 2 partners started Gems of Hope to fight the disease with pretty gems and cards with sayings that offer hope when things seem hopeless.
When you have people sending you cards, phoning you with encouragement, coming to visit, that is an inner quality of medicine, in my opinion.
Such support helped Hamill get through her own cancer ordeal and chemotherapy 4 years ago. But she realized not everyone had a support system like that. So the idea behind Gems of Hope is to let cancer patients know someone cares. Every month, Hamill helps direct volunteers to create the earrings, pendants, and other bits of jewelry, along with the inspirational cards. Gems of Hope then passes out about 300 a month to men and women undergoing cancer treatment at area clinics and hospitals.
People who have survived the cancer journey have written us notes saying, you just don't know that little card that I attached to my bathroom mirror got me through those 3 months of chemo.
Hamill says that as much as anything tells her Gems of Hope has made a difference. Dave Fransman, KCRG, TV9 News.
Beth Hamill is also our grand prize winner. She will now travel to Washington, D.C. to represent Eastern Iowa in a national competition. Congratulations to all of our winners, and good luck to Beth in Washington. Thanks for joining us.